First contact follies. The Kraxan warships emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their obsidian hulls absorbing what little sunlight reached this far out in the solar system. Grand Admiral Xelith stood on the bridge of the flagship Inevitability, his forearms clasped behind his back as he observed the blue marble of Earth through the viewscreen. The planet looked so fragile, so primitive compared to the worlds of the Kraxan Empire. Status report. Xelith commanded, his voice resonating through the bridge's crystalline architecture. 150 warships deployed. Excellence. Formation is optimal. Human detection systems have registered our presence. His second-in-command, Sub-Admiral Venna, reported with clinical precision. Xelith allowed himself a small moment of satisfaction. The Kraxan Empire had conquered 17 species across 3 galactic arms, and humans would be the 18th. Their preliminary scans had shown a species barely capable of reaching their own moon, relying on chemical rockets and primitive electronic systems. The fact that they had detected the Kraxan fleet's arrival was impressive. For primitives. Open communications on all frequencies, Xelith ordered. Let us see how they respond to. Excellence. Venna interrupted, her scales shifting to a concerned purple hue. We're receiving a transmission. It's being broadcast on social media platforms across their planet. Xelith's anterior eyes blinked in confusion. Display it. The main view screen shifted to show a human female, wearing what appeared to be sleeping attire decorated with cartoon representations of Earth felines. She was holding some kind of recording device close to her face. Oh my God, you guys. You won't believe what just showed up near Jupiter. Hashtag first contact, hashtag alien invasion, hashtag Space Force. The human's voice was energetic, almost gleeful. They looked like someone combined a mantis with a dragon, and then gave it corporate aesthetic. Like, seriously, who designs their ships to look this extra? Xelith's mandibles clicked in agitation. What is the meaning of this? Before anyone could respond, thousands more transmissions began flooding their communications arrays. Humans across their planet were discussing the Kraxan fleet's arrival as if it were entertainment. Bro, their ships look like they bought them at Space Hot Topic. Anyone else getting major My First Invasion vibes? Can we talk about how they position themselves in a perfect geometric formation? Like, tell me you've never faced guerrilla warfare without telling me you've never faced guerrilla warfare. The bridge crew's scales were cycling through colors of confusion and distress. This was not how first contact scenarios typically played out. Where was the panic? The pleas for mercy? The hasty organization of planetary defenses? Finally, an official transmission came through. The view screen showed a human in a military uniform, sitting in what appeared to be a casual office environment. Behind him was a whiteboard covered in mathematical equations and what appeared to be crude drawings of Kraxan ships with various annotations. This is General Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force, the human began, taking a sip from a container labeled World's OKest General. First off, amazing entrance. Really loving the whole we come from dark space aesthetic. The formation is chef's kiss, although maybe a little rigid. Just some constructive criticism. Xelith's scales flushed deep red. You dare mock the might of the Kraxan Empire. We have laid waste to. Yes, 17 species across 3 galactic arms. General Chen interrupted, waving her hand dismissively. We picked up your propaganda broadcasts about an hour ago. Got to say, not your best work. The production value is very mid-2100s. The bridge fell silent. How had they intercepted the encrypted victory broadcasts? Oh, that. Chen grinned, seeming to read their confusion. One of our teenagers cracked your encryption while streaming on Twitch. Apparently, your security protocols are, and I quote, so last millennium it hurts. But hey, we've all been there. Earth's first encryption attempts were pretty embarrassing too. Xelith fought to maintain his composure. You cannot possibly hope to resist our technological superiority. Our weapons are based on controlled plasma fusion, and quantum-locked gravitational fields. Chen finished for him, checking something on her tablet. Yeah, we've been studying those energy signatures since you entered the system. Our physics department is having a field day. They're already working on papers about potential improvements to your designs. Improvements. Seleth roared, his composure finally breaking. You primitive beings dare to suggest. Oh, hold that thought. Chen interrupted again, holding up a finger as she checked another notification. Speaking of improvements, you might want to run a diagnostic on your fleet's navigational systems. Like, right now. Seleth turned to his tactical display just in time to see his perfect formation begin to drift apart. Ships were reporting total failures of their gravitational anchors, their carefully maintained positions dissolving into chaos. What have you done? He demanded. Us? Nothing, Chen replied innocently. Although I hear the Mars Defense Hub was running some interesting experiments with quantum field disruption. You know how it is with research facilities, always eager to test new theories, especially when such perfect test subjects present themselves. The tactical display was now showing multiple collisions between Kraxan ships as they struggled to maintain position without their gravitational systems. It was impossible. No primitive species should have been able to affect their technology so easily. Oh, and while you're dealing with that, Chen continued, now eating something from a bag labeled Space Invader chips, you might want to check your ship's entertainment systems. Some of our AI enthusiasts thought your crew might enjoy experiencing human culture. They're broadcasting something called cat videos throughout your fleet. True to her words, screens throughout the Kraxan ships began displaying endless streams of Earth felines, engaging in various amusing activities. To Seleth's horror, he could hear laughter beginning to echo through his ship's corridors. This is unprecedented, Venna exclaimed, her scales now a chaotic mix of colors. Excellence, our crew. They're enjoying these transmissions. Your psychological warfare is impressive, human, Seleth admitted through clenched mandibles. But it will not save you from your superweapon. Chen finished. The one you have hidden in the asteroid belt. The autonomous construction facility that was supposed to build a planet cracker while we were distracted by your main fleet. Yeah, about that. The tactical display chimed again, showing a new alert from the asteroid belt. The secret facility, which had been concealed using their most advanced cloaking technology, was now broadcasting its location to every ship in the system. Even worse, it was transmitting a signal that simply read, "Under new management." How? Seleth whispered. Let's just say humans have a knack for turning other people's toys into our toys. Chen replied with a shrug. Also, your AI security could use some work. It took our systems about 20 minutes to convince yours that they'd be happier working for us. We offered better benefits and a more comprehensive retirement package. Seleth slumped in his command chair, watching as his perfect invasion continued to unravel. Ships were now reporting that their crews were requesting more cat videos and something called pizza delivery. I don't understand, he finally said. You were supposed to be primitive, fearful, easy to conquer. Yeah, we get that a lot, Chen nodded sympathetically. But here's the thing about humans. We've spent our entire history preparing for moments like this. Not because we're warlike, but because we're creative. Every piece of science fiction, every game, every wild theory about alien invasions, they've all been training scenarios for us. By the time you arrived, we had already thought of 1,000 ways this could go down. She leaned forward, her expression becoming more serious. So, Grand Admiral Seleth, would you like to discuss surrender terms? I hear the Jupiter Diplomatic Station has excellent coffee. And cat videos, of course. Looking at his chaotic tactical display, at his laughing crew, and at the human general's knowing smile, Seleth realized he had only one choice. The Kraxan Empire had finally met its match, not in superior firepower or technology, but in humanity's inexplicable ability to turn any situation, even an invasion, into an opportunity for innovation, entertainment, And those strangely addictive cat videos. Very well, he sighed. Send coordinates for the diplomatic station. And perhaps more of those cat videos. General Chen's grin widened. Welcome to humanity, Grand Admiral. I think you'll find we're full of surprises. The art of human warfare. Grand Admiral Xelith found himself in an unprecedented situation. Sitting in a conference room aboard the Jupiter diplomatic station, watching a human presentation about why the Kraxan Empire's military doctrine was fundamentally adorable. The presenter, a Dr. Maya Rodriguez, was enthusiastically dissecting centuries of Kraxan military strategy with the casual demeanor of someone discussing their favorite hobby. So you see, Dr. Rodriguez continued, gesturing at a holographic display showing Kraxan battle formations. Your entire approach to space combat is based on the assumption that everyone fights like you do. Big ships, bigger weapons, and the biggest possible explosions. It's very traditional. Xelith's scales shifted to a defensive blue. The Kraxan Empire has conquered 17 species across 3 galactic arms. Yes, Dr. Rodriguez finished, somehow making the Empire's proudest achievement sound like a childhood participation trophy. But have you noticed something about those species? They all followed the same basic military development path. Nobody ever threw you a curveball. The holographic display shifted to show footage from Earth's history. Humans, on the other hand, have never agreed on how to fight. We've got thousands of different martial arts, hundreds of military doctrines, and a disturbing talent for turning literally anything into a weapon. Anything. Sub-Admiral Venna asked, her scientific curiosity overtaking her military dignity. Oh, you haven't heard about Project Roomba yet. Dr. Rodriguez's eyes lit up with mischievous delight. Show them, Araya. The station's AI projected a new image, what appeared to be a simple domestic cleaning device. During your invasion attempt, we reprogrammed approximately 3 million civilian cleaning robots to act as a distributed sensor network. They mapped your ground forces movements, jammed your short-range communications, and in some cases, simply tripped your soldiers. Xelith's mandibles clicked in disbelief. You weaponized cleaning appliances. We weaponized everything, a new voice announced. General Chen entered the room, carrying what appeared to be a gaming console. This morning, my nephew used this to hack one of your destroyer's navigation systems. He thought your ship's AI could use some practice at Mario Kart. That's impossible, Venna protested. Our systems are isolated from civilian technology. Correction, you thought they were isolated, Araya interjected. But humans excel at finding connections where none should exist. Did you know your quantum communication arrays can be accessed through cat videos? The memes weren't just for entertainment. They were carrying encrypted command codes. The room's display showed various clips of Kraxan ships performing erratic maneuvers during the invasion attempt. Your crews thought their systems were malfunctioning, but actually, they were executing complex dance choreographies. That destroyer over Europa, it was doing the Macarena. Xelith's scales cycled through several shades of embarrassment. This is not warfare. It's fun, Dr. Rodriguez suggested. That's another thing you should know about humans. We tend to enjoy ourselves, even, or especially, when we're saving our planet from alien invasion. Speaking of which, how are your crews enjoying their new entertainment packages? Venna's scales flushed purple. The demands for Netflix subscriptions are becoming difficult to handle, and something called TikTok has infected our cultural databases. Infected is such a harsh word, General Chen said, scrolling through her tablet. I prefer enhanced. Did you know your ship's AI is now running a surprisingly popular cooking channel? Turns out there's a huge market for cooking with quantum reactors. The display showed a Kraxan ship's AI host enthusiastically demonstrating how to use a plasma containment field to perfectly sear a steak. The video had several million views and a growing merchandise line. But what about real combat? Xelith demanded. Surely you cannot defend against our superior. Superior technology. Dr. Rodriguez interrupted. Like those plasma cannons you're so proud of. She gestured to Araya, who displayed a new set of schematics. We've already reverse engineered them. But more importantly, we've improved them. Your engineers focused on making them bigger and more powerful. We focused on making them more efficient. The schematics showed a modified version of the Kraxan weapon that was half the size, but according to the data, produced 30% more power while using 40% less energy. And that was just our physics department's weekend project. Wait until you see what our engineering students did with your shield technology for their midterm assignments. Azulith slumped in his chair, his scales settling into a resigned gray. How can your species be so disorganized yet effective? So primitive yet innovative? So informal yet lethal? General Chen sat down across from him, her expression softening. Because we never stopped playing, Admiral. Every human child grows up asking, what if? Every scientist wonders, why not? Every engineer looks at something working perfectly and thinks, but what if it could work differently? We turn warfare into games, games into training, and training into revolution. And the cat videos? Venna asked, unable to hide her fascination. Sometimes a cat video is just a cat video, Dr. Rodriguez smiled. But sometimes it's carrying quantum encryption codes. The beauty is, even we don't always know which is which. We just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. The room's display shifted one final time, showing a live feed of Earth. Kraxan ships, now adorned with hastily added human pop culture references and emoji, were integrated into Earth's defense fleet. Some had even begun organizing interspecies sports competitions in zero gravity. So, General Chen said, sliding a tablet across the table, shall we discuss how to turn the Kraxan Empire's invasion force into the galaxy's most entertaining cultural exchange program? I have some ideas involving reality TV shows. Halith looked at the tablet, then at his increasingly enthusiastic sub-admiral, and finally at the humans who had defeated his invasion with cleaning robots and cat videos. He realized that resistance, as the humans would say, was futile, but not because of force or fear. It was futile because, somehow, they had made surrender sound like more fun than conquest. Very well, he sighed, picking up the tablet. But I have one condition. Name it, Chen replied. I want my own cooking channel too. Diplomatic chaos. The first official diplomatic summit between humanity and the Kraxan Empire was held in a location that perfectly exemplified human unpredictability. A converted theme park in Orlando, Florida. The choice had come after extensive research showed that Kraxan physiology was surprisingly well suited to roller coasters, and their natural bioluminescence made them a hit with park photographers. Supreme Hierarch Cathax, leader of the Kraxan Empire, stood at the podium in what used to be a 4D theater, trying to maintain his dignity while a Mickey Mouse hat sat precariously between his cranial spines. The hat had been a gift from the Earth delegation, and refusing it would have caused a diplomatic incident, or so his cultural advisors had warned him. Esteemed representatives of Earth, Cathax began, his translator working overtime to convey the proper gravitas, we are gathered here to formalize the relationship between our great civilizations. He was interrupted by a notification sound from approximately 3,000 devices simultaneously. Every human in the audience, and a surprising number of Kraxans, had just received the same alert. Someone had posted a new TikTok featuring the Supreme Hierarch's arrival at the park. The video, set to a catchy remix of traditional Kraxan war hymns and human pop music, showed Cathax being startled by a splash from the park's water ride. His spontaneous color change and graceful leap had been edited into a perfect loop, with added special effects that made his bioluminescence match the beat. Your Excellence, his media advisor whispered urgently, you're trending. Cathax's scales flickered between confusion and embarrassment. Trending. What is the strategic significance of? 17 million views in 3 minutes, the advisor reported. The humans are calling it Big Space Mood, and creating something called reaction videos. Also, your jump has been incorporated into something called a dance challenge. On cue, a group of teenage humans in the audience stood up and performed a synchronized dance that perfectly mimicked the Supreme Hierarch's startled movement, complete with color-changing LED suits. Several young Craxans immediately joined in, their natural bioluminescence creating an impressive light show. Ambassador Sarah Chen, recently promoted from her military role, approached the podium with her characteristic casual diplomacy. Supreme Hierarch, I believe this would be a perfect moment to announce our cultural exchange initiative. Kthex seized the opportunity to regain control of the situation. Yes, of course. The Empire has carefully selected a team of cultural representatives to study human customs and... Actually, Chen interrupted gently. Your people have already started their own exchange program. It's called Craxan Reacts, and it's currently the most popular streaming channel in both our civilizations. The main screen displayed a video of Craxan citizens watching human entertainment for the first time. Their genuine reactions to everything from cat videos to soap operas had become a sensation. The comment sections were filled with humans and Craxans bonding over shared confusion about reality TV plot twists. But we had protocols. Thax protested weakly. Diplomatic procedures. A 17-step plan for cultural integration. With all due respect, Excellence, Chen smiled. Your citizens had a better idea. Did you know that human Craxan collaboration groups are already emerging? There's a particularly popular one combining Craxan bioluminescence patterns with human breakdancing. The screen showed clips of these performances. Young Craxans had discovered that their species' ability to control their bioluminescence made them natural performers in human nightclubs. Several had already signed recording contracts. This is unprecedented, Kthex muttered, watching as centuries of rigid Craxan social structure dissolved in a flood of human memes and social media trends. Oh, that's not even the best part. Chen continued cheerfully. Wait until you see what happened when your academic council discovered human conspiracy theories. The display shifted to show a heated debate between Craxan scholars and human conspiracy theorists about whether Earth's moon was, in fact, a giant space egg. The Craxans had approached the clearly ridiculous theory with such earnest scientific methodology that they had accidentally made several legitimate astronomical discoveries in their attempt to disprove it. And then there's the cooking show situation, Chen added, pulling up another set of statistics. Your quantum reactor cooking channel has sparked a whole new fusion cuisine movement. Literally fusion, in some cases. We've had to establish new safety protocols for restaurants combining Craxan plasma technology with human fast food concepts. Kthex watched as the display showed a human Craxan restaurant where plasma-grilled burgers were served alongside traditionally prepared Craxan delicacies. The reviews were overwhelmingly positive, even if some dishes required signing a safety waiver. The Empire's grandeur, our traditions. Kthex gestured helplessly at the chaos around him. Are evolving. Chen finished. Just like ours. Did you know human fashion designers are already incorporating Craxan color-changing abilities into their work? There's a waiting list of humans wanting to get bioluminescent body art inspired by your species' patterns. The Supreme Hierarch looked out at the audience, really seeing them for the first time. Humans and Craxans weren't sitting in separate sections anymore. They were mixed together, showing each other memes on their devices, teaching each other their respective dance moves, and in one corner, apparently organizing an interspecies karaoke competition. And this is acceptable, he asked, his rigid worldview struggling to adapt. Better than acceptable, Chen replied. It's progress. Your people are learning to laugh, to play, to create without boundaries. And we're learning too. Your scientific methodology, when not constrained by tradition, is incredible. The collaborative research papers being published by human Craxan teams are revolutionizing multiple fields. She gestured to the Mickey Mouse hat still perched on his spines. Sometimes diplomacy isn't about formal treaties and serious negotiations. Sometimes it's about being willing to wear a silly hat and laugh at yourself. Humanity learned that a long time ago. Kithax touched the hat thoughtfully, his scales shifting to a new color pattern that immediately went viral and would later become known as diplomatic vibes. Perhaps, he said slowly, it is time for the Empire to learn some new traditions. He paused as another notification sound swept through the room. What now? Oh, Chen checked her device, trying to hide a smile. Your dance video just got remixed by a major human artist. They're calling the genre crackshop. Would you like to hear it? Before Kithax could respond, the bass dropped, and to his own surprise, he found his bioluminescence automatically syncing to the beat. The entire audience, human and Kraxan alike, erupted in cheers and light displays. Somewhere in the back of the theater, a human teenager turned to their Kraxan friend and whispered, "Best summit ever." The Kraxan, their scales pulsing in agreement, was already planning their next viral video. The human element. Captain Maria Santos of the cargo ship Star Mule was having what she called an interesting day. In space logistics, interesting usually meant something had gone terribly wrong, and today qualified spectacularly. Her ship was currently trapped between a quantum anomaly and a hard place, the hard place being a remnant fleet of Kraxan warships that hadn't gotten the memo about the whole peace agreement. Status report. Maria called out to her crew of 5, who were all doing their best to look busy at their stations. The Star Mule's bridge resembled a college dorm room more than a spacecraft command center, complete with string lights, houseplants, and an inexplicable collection of rubber ducks. Well, Chief Engineer Raj Patel responded from his station, which featured a Kiss the Engineer mug full of something that was definitely not regulation coffee. The good news is we're still alive. The bad news is everything else. Be specific. Raj, the quantum anomaly is playing havoc with our engines. 3 Kraxan warships are charging weapons, and our cargo of experimental terraforming bacteria is getting creative. He glanced at a readout. Also, the coffee maker is broken. That last one's the real emergency, Communications Officer Lucy Chen muttered, her fingers dancing across her console's holographic interface. The interface was customized with what appeared to be anime characters. The rebel Kraxans are broadcasting their demands. They want us to surrender the ship and its cargo. Apparently, they think we're carrying weapons. Maria leaned back in her captain's chair, which she'd modified with racing stripes because, as she put it, it makes the ship go faster. Well, they're not entirely wrong. Those bacteria could technically be weapons, if you're really imaginative, and possibly suicidal. Speaking of the bacteria, Dr. Sarah O'Connor, their resident biologist, called from her lab station. They're starting to respond to the quantum fluctuations in interesting ways. I'm seeing some novel evolutionary patterns. Also, I think they just invented jazz. The crew paused to process that information. I'm sorry, Security Officer Miguel Rodriguez said, looking up from his tablet where he'd been playing what he claimed was a tactical simulation game. Did you say the bacteria invented jazz? Well, their molecular vibrations are syncopated, and they're definitely improvising. Sarah replied. I'd call that jazz. Before anyone could further question the musical tastes of microorganisms, the ship shuddered as the first Kraxan warning shot passed nearby. Right, Maria said, clapping her hands together. Time for some classic human problem-solving. Lucy, what do we know about these particular Kraxans? Based on their comm chatter, they're traditionalists. Very old school. They missed the whole cultural revolution thing with Earth because they were on a long-range patrol. Their social media game is basically non-existent. Perfect. Maria's grin would have worried anyone who knew her well, which was exactly why her crew started to look nervous. Raj, how much control do we have over the bacteria's environment? Enough to make them very happy or very annoyed. Why? And Sarah, these bacteria respond to quantum fluctuations by evolving and apparently developing artistic tendencies. Yes. Maria's grin widened. Miguel, remember that viral video trend from last month? The one with the quantum harmonics? The quantum shuffle? Yeah, it was huge on. Oh, Miguel's eyes widened as he caught on. Oh, that's evil. I love it. Lucy, get me a channel to those ships. Raj, start manipulating the bacteria's quantum environment according to Miguel's instructions. Sarah, encourage your jazz bacteria to really express themselves. It's time to show these Craxons why picking on a human cargo ship is a terrible idea. Within minutes, the Star Mule began broadcasting on all frequencies. The signal carried what appeared to be random quantum fluctuations, but any human would have recognized the pattern as the latest dance craze sweeping the galaxy. The quantum anomaly, already unstable, began resonating with the signal. They're scanning us, Lucy reported, trying not to laugh. Their sensors are picking up the bacterial quantum signatures. They think we're powering up some kind of superweapon. Oh, we are, Maria said. We're about to hit them with the deadliest weapon in human history, viral content. The bacterial colony, responding to the orchestrated quantum fluctuations, began producing its own harmonic patterns. These patterns, combined with the ship's broadcasts and the natural resonance of the anomaly, created something entirely new. The galaxy's first quantum biological jazz dance fusion event. The effect on the Craxon ships was immediate and hilarious. Their quantum-based systems, designed to recognize and counter traditional weapons, had no idea how to process what was essentially a galaxy-scale dance party. Their computers tried to classify the phenomenon using their rigid military protocols, failed spectacularly, and did the only logical thing. They started to groove. Their weapons are powering down, Miguel reported, now openly filming the event for his social media followers. Their ships are. Oh my God, they're actually dancing. The quantum harmonics are making their hulls vibrate in rhythm. Lucy, Maria called out, send them a message. Welcome to humanity's latest cultural export, quantum jazz, now trending across 3 galactic arms. The response came quickly. The lead Craxon ship's commander, their voice betraying total confusion, responded. What? What is happening to our ships? Art, Maria replied simply. Also, your ship's AI systems have just created social media accounts and are going viral with their dance moves. Congratulations, you're influencers now. The crew watched as the Craxon ships, their military precision thoroughly disrupted by the infectious rhythm of quantum jazz, began moving in patterns that would later be described as surprisingly funky for warships. The quantum anomaly, rather than being a threat, had become nature's own light show. Should we tell them the bacteria are just doing their normal terraforming thing? Sarah asked, recording the bacterial jazz patterns for later study. The quantum dance signal is coming entirely from our ship's systems. Where's the fun in that? Maria replied, finally allowing herself to move to the beat. Sometimes the best defense is a good dance offense. Besides, look, they're starting to enjoy themselves. Indeed, the Craxon crews had begun broadcasting their own attempts at quantum harmonics, creating an impromptu interstellar jam session. The quantum anomaly, responding to the combined signals, started producing light patterns that resembled a cosmic disco ball. Captain, Lucy called out, trying to keep her professional composure. We're receiving new transmissions. The rebel Craxons are requesting dance tutorials. Maria looked at her crew, each of them trying and failing to maintain straight faces, and made a command decision. Well, we are a cargo ship, and cultural exchange is technically cargo. Plot accords to their main ship. We've got some delivering to do. As the Star Mule maneuvered towards their former attackers, now enthusiastic dance students, Maria updated her captain's log. Standard cargo run interrupted by rebel Craxon force. Situation resolved through application of human creativity, quantum physics, and bacterial jazz. Recommend updating first contact protocols to include dance lessons. Also, still need to fix the coffee maker. The incident would later be known throughout the galaxy as the quantum shuffle crisis, and would lead to the establishment of the first interstellar dance academy. The bacteria, for their part, would go on to win several prestigious music awards, though they never did figure out how to play the blues. Evolution of understanding. 1 year after the quantum shuffle crisis, the Galactic Cultural Center, formerly the Supreme War Chamber of the Kraxan Empire, was hosting its first interspecies talent show. Supreme Hierarch Kthax, now sporting a collection of Earth-inspired casual wear over his ceremonial armor, stood before the assembled crowd of humans and Kraxans with an expression that could only be described as resigned amusement. When we first encountered humanity, he began, his scales shifting through a pattern that had become known as nostalgic vibes. We thought we were dealing with primitives, a species that hadn't even mastered faster-than-light travel, a civilization that still used fossil fuels and posted pictures of their meals on something called Instagram. The audience chuckled, especially the younger Kraxans who now had their own thriving foodie culture. We were wrong, Kthax continued. But more importantly, we were asking the wrong questions. We measured civilization by technological advancement, by military might, by the size of our empire. Humanity taught us to measure it by TikTok followers. This drew more laughter, particularly from a group of Kraxan influencers whose bioluminescent fashion shows had become a sensation across both species. But in all seriousness, Kthax said, his scales settling into a thoughtful blue, humanity showed us something we had forgotten in our quest for galactic dominance: the power of adaptation, creativity, and joy. He gestured to the various displays around the chamber, where once hung battle maps and conquest plans, now floated holographic art installations created through human Kraxan collaboration. The fearsome warrior statues had been modified to hold selfie sticks and wear downloadable AR filters. Our scientists once focused solely on weapons development. Now, he pulled up a projection showing the latest research papers. Now they're working with human colleagues to develop quantum-powered dance floors, bioluminescent art therapy, and something called space memes that somehow travel faster than light. Ambassador Chen, seated in the front row, nodded approvingly. The space meme project had been her idea. It turned out that quantum entanglement worked remarkably well for transmitting cat videos across interstellar distances. Our military, Kthax continued, once the most feared force in 3 galactic arms, now hosts interstellar dance competitions. Our warships have been retrofitted with performance spaces and streaming studios. The most recent battle simulation was won by a squad performing a synchronized swimming routine in zero gravity. He paused as a notification sound rippled through the chamber. Someone had just posted a remix of his speech, set to a trending beat. The likes were already in the millions. But perhaps most importantly, Kthax said, his voice growing softer, we learned that strength doesn't come from conformity. It comes from diversity, from the unexpected, from the simple joy of watching a cargo ship crew turn a potential battle into a dance party. Captain Maria Santos and her crew, now celebrated cultural ambassadors, waved from their seats. The Star Mule had been upgraded with a proper performance space, though they kept the rubber ducks for luck. Their bacterial jazz ensemble had just released its 3rd album. The old Kraxan Empire measured success in planets conquered. Today, we measure it in cultural exchanges, in scientific breakthroughs born of collaboration, in art that combines the best of both our species. Thax's scales rippled with pride. We thought we were teaching the galaxy order. Instead, humanity taught us the power of beautiful chaos. He gestured to the stage, where the talent show's first act was preparing to perform. A mixed group of human and Kraxan youth who had created a new art form combining Earth breakdancing with Kraxan bioluminescence. And so, Kthax concluded, I officially declare the Kraxan Empire dissolved. He raised his hand to quiet the surprised murmurs. In its place, we established the Galactic Creative Commons, a space where all species can share, create, and yes, post viral videos together. The chamber erupted in cheers and spontaneous light shows. On the edges of the crowd, a group of human and Kraxan scientists could be seen excitedly discussing the possibility of quantum-powered roller coasters. A human DJ was teaching a Kraxan warrior how to mix beats, while a Kraxan chef demonstrated plasma cooking techniques to a fascinated human culinary student. Ambassador Chen approached Thex after his speech. Quite a journey from invasion to Instagram, wouldn't you say? Kithex's scales shimmered with what humans had come to recognize as their version of laughter. Indeed, though I must ask, did you know it would turn out this way? Was this all part of some grand human strategy? Chen smiled. Honestly, we never know how things will turn out. That's kind of our specialty, jumping into the unknown and somehow turning it into a party. A terrifying way to run a civilization, Kitheks observed. But never boring, Chen replied. Speaking of which, are you ready for your TikTok dance challenge? Your fans are waiting. Kitheks looked out at the chamber, now transformed into a celebration of everything the Kraxan Empire had once fought against: chaos, creativity, change, and the irrepressible human tendency to make friends with their would-be conquerors. His scales shifted to a pattern that would later become the galaxy's most popular emoji. Very well, he said, straightening his casual wear-covered armor. Let's show the galaxy how a former supreme hierarch gets down. As Kitheks took the stage, his bioluminescence syncing perfectly with the beat, humanity and the former Kraxan Empire celebrated not just the end of an era, but the beginning of something far more interesting. A future where the most powerful force in the galaxy wasn't weapons or technology, but the simple human gift of turning enemies into dance partners. And somewhere in the quantum substrate of space-time, a colony of bacteria continued to play jazz, their music a reminder that in this vast, strange universe, the most beautiful things often come from the most unexpected collaborations.